Hey, how's it going, everyone? Now, today on Industry Pathology, we're going to talk about something a little bit different. Usually, I'm giving a diagnosis, basically giving a call out to what's going on in the industry or something that you may be doing that may hinder your career or hinder how you're able to progress. But we're going to flip it. Instead of getting diagnosis, we're going to give treatment. So we're going to take the one what we call digital dissociation disorder. This was talking about how people don't like the post. They think it may be making them look bad, or they just say it's too tedious. And first and foremost, I'm guilty of saying, "Oh, yeah, it's a necessary evil. It's tedious." I'm gonna kind of stop saying that because I've been telling my interns that. I've been telling other people. Now, granted, I think I do it because it's just me trying to identify. But if we keep it real on here, and I like to keep it real, I'm gonna stop saying it. You should too, because just like anything else that you would do with your job, you need to do it. And just like you work with a client, you're not gonna tell them not to do something that will make them better simply because they don't like it. Imagine telling an athlete or a military or first responder, "Hey, this part of your job that's a little tricky or difficult, just don't do it." Makes no sense, right? So we're going to work on that. So the first part, I called this out in the first video talking about the diagnosis that most people don't want to be conflated with an influencer. Now, there's ways to get around that because an influencer, typically, they're the brand, it's about them. Now, granted, you're the brand too, especially if you have your own business or you're trying to promote something that your business is doing or that you're doing. So you are the brand, but the difference is from an influencer, the knowledge that you bring is the real bread and butter. Influencer, they're about talking about what's going on, which you should do too, but it still needs to be ethically within your scope of practice, first and foremost, but it still needs to be informative and engaging. So you have to teeter-totter on that line. And this is how we're going to do that, because just like anything else, you should have a systematic way of going about it. Now, the first part of this is pretty straightforward. Think about what you would say to a client. People get in front of this camera like I am right now, and all of a sudden their brain goes blank and they don't know how to talk. It's kind of funny, but it kind of isn't, because we do this every day. I've seen people explain perfectly to me how to do something or how to go about a concept, but when I put them in front of this mic or this camera, all of a sudden nothing happens. And that's an issue. So think about what you would tell your client, because guess what? That's what we're doing anyway. So transfer that same energy, that same information, that same knowledge, that same dynamic. That's what's going to bring the people into you, because they want to be able to say, "Who is this person trying to give me information?" Well, it sounds like they've said this before. They sound comfortable in who they are. So if you're so caught up on, "Oh, I want to look like this," you need to get over that quick, because you're going to get left behind, because this is something that you have to do. So you need to make sure that you're adequate at it, just like you would do any other skill or part of your job. Now, the next part may seem pretty straightforward, but a lot of people don't do this. I do this, and it's something that it's made my content much better, but schedule it. Have an actual strict schedule that you follow, whether it be loading up all the content on one day, maybe doing it on certain days and then post it later. But it's up to you if you want to stockpile it or do it day by day. But take 3 days out the week that you take to just post content. And I mean one per that day. So you could do 3 on one day and post throughout the week, or do it on that same day, edit it and post it later. Depending on your time, that might be harder. But 3 content posts a week, and I suggest you do it on one medium. Now, me, I'm on Instagram, YouTube. They're my 2 biggest ones. I also have TikTok, I have Twitter, but don't get caught up in the different platforms just yet, especially if you're just getting into it. So start off on one, say Instagram, that's probably the most diverse. YouTube takes a little more footwork, but then you could get into saying, "I'm going to do 3 dedicated posts a week." That way you get that traction, because these algorithms for each one, that's a whole big video in itself. These algorithms, they respond to consistency more than anything. Now, some might have some other aspects that is looking for trending topics, but the first and foremost is they want to see if you're consistent, because if you're consistent, they say, "Hey, eyes need to come to this page," and digitally it's wired to do that. And then more eyes come to your page, the more traction that you get. Now, I know I just said traction, but this is the last part I'll talk about this segment is don't focus on the views. Focus on just what's being said, the dynamics you're building, the story you're telling, the people that are coming to your page, rather than is it 10,000, 5,000, 100, a million? That'll come in due time if it comes at all. But the point is, the more you focus on what you're trying to put out there, the more genuine it feels because people can tell when you're just trying to put something out for the sake of posting. That's the line you don't want to cross. And that's where you do get a little influency. So that's why 3 is ideal because it's not a lot. You can take your time and really think about it, but it's not saturating your page where every 2 seconds something's dropping. Now, if it's all quality, yeah, do more than 3. But I think 3 is a safe number so you're able to make sure it's clear, succinct, to the point, but not overwhelming you or your audience. Now, one thing I want to take from what I just said on the last segment was when you're doing this, people need to see that you're valuable and know what you're talking about. And like I said, doing more gets you what we'll call digital reps. So you get just more efficient at making content, get more efficient at speaking on topics on the fly, whether you script it or not. And then when you go into the real world, you're able to talk to it a lot better. So it has its purpose on and off the camera. But with that being said, just like in the real world, your resume online doesn't speak for everything you do, just like your resume on a piece of paper doesn't speak to everything you do. So when people are looking at this stuff, they really need to get to know you. Now, it doesn't mean you share every intimate part of your life or your career or your job, but they need to understand why you're doing this. They should understand the passion that's behind your work. Let them know, why did you get into this work? And this comes from probably doing more candid type of content. That's why it's great to use things like stories, which are on like social medias like Instagram or even TikTok, where it stays up there briefly, getting recorded directly from your phone, unlike what I'm doing now, where it's more professional, more studio quality. Just do it right from your phone and talk about a subject that's happening in the real world or something you've seen in the field with a client. Maybe obviously not directly say the client, but an aspect of it that maybe someone could relate to. Because now they're saying, huh, this feels like they're saying something that I can relate to. It's kind of like a parasocial relationship. So now they're saying, if I was to hear this person talk, I think this person can identify for what I need. Because a lot of times people aren't always looking for directly expertise or knowledge per se. Obviously, you should educate, but they want to see what type of person you are. So for this part, I want you to do at least one time a week, a 1 minute, no edits, straight through. Just speak on your mind to get something off your chest, something that you've seen happen and get personal. If you're watching the NBA finals or if you're watching a game or if you just seen something that's been occurring online or in day to day, speak on it. Give your opinion. It doesn't have to be to the point of you need to believe what I believe or they need to follow you, but it shows that you can just be an everyday person because going off of that, don't want to be an influencer just kind of plays into it. They need to know that you're not just here for likes and views or pushing a product or something like that. So make sure you give them the FaceTime where it sounds like you're really speaking your mind. Now, this last part kind of goes into something that's bashed by some of the entities, the powers that be, I would say. And I don't think it's a good thing to say, oh, you can't post maybe client stories, testimonials talking about things that you've done. Well, that's, I guess, frowned upon for some reason. How do people know? Marketing is the biggest thing here. And that's why we do the social media, right? So you need to post about wins. You need to post about things that happen. Now, maybe you don't have to directly say names or entities. Like, for example, I can say I work with one of the largest law enforcement agencies in the country, by proxy, the world. I get to do a lot of cool things. I've been able to shadow SWAT team members, dog canine training, shoot houses, and a whole bunch of other stuff, not just the tactical stuff, but a whole bunch of stuff I'm proud to say I'm part of. Now, it doesn't mean you have to say, oh, look what I'm doing, bragging, but to associate your brand with something that's doing real time work, real time life changing things that is making someone better at what they do, you can't replace that feeling. So it should show up. Now, maybe you don't directly show them, obviously, like me, what I just said, none of that really comes on my page. It doesn't. But the essence of it, and what I mean by that is the things that I do there does show up on my page. The tasks, the drills, the concepts, the workshops, the key points. I'm doing it with another client that I do have the ability to share, or I'm doing it myself or sharing it with one of my workers. But you can see that this is what we do so they can know, oh, like I said, parasocial, they can associate this is what we would do with X population, X sport, X corporate office, whatever it is. So now they see this can tie into what I'm doing. Because once again, if you're marketing, building brands, if they can't see it, how would they know to get you? Ask yourself, put all this other stuff aside. Ask yourself, have you done enough this week or this month, or even just today to forward your brand, to forward your image or what you're trying to build? And more than likely, the answer is no. I'm assuming, but I've seen what's out there, and I see some people doing a great job, but they're the minority. For every person I see really doing it in our industry, it's another dozen to two, 3 dozen that have no presence. And this is a problem because, like I said, this is your digital portfolio. When your people come to check you out, they're going to see this. And I was about to say unfortunately, but fortunately, they're going to see this. And the first thing I'm going to say is, don't look like they're doing much. It matters. It does. Whether you like it or not, people are going to take that in. Now, you being good at it, being an expert, is the icing on the cake, as you should be. But I don't give bonus points for just being good as you should. That's the standard. Being status quo, that's what needs just to fill out the application. Imagine making a team in sport just because you signed up for tryouts. We don't do that here at Mind Body One, and I expect the best from anyone who watches my content. I'm holding you to that same standard. You're going against head to head with other people sharing this market share to try to get where you're at. So you need to be able to make it happen. Now, like I said, this was an actual treatment plan, if you will, to that diagnosis of digital dissociation disorder. I might do more of these as the episodes build, because remember on here on episode 11, this is almost 3 months now. It's been a great series. And as you keep building more, you can give insight too. Maybe I have some other ones you want me to do on. But as I think about more ideas, I'll do more of these to make sure you can get the issue that's occurring, the pathology, the diagnosis, what you may need to do, and then a direct way to go about building it, because we need to do better. And I'm always going to make that the key point of these episodes. So thanks for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your week. And that's my pathology.